Welcome, everybody, to the Changing of the Hip Hop Guards podcast. I'm the journalist Sincere. That's my partner, Uncle E. And tonight we have a very special guest. Some of you know him as Brooklyn Bobby from Brownsville. Others know him as Bobby Simmons from Stetsasonic. Either way, thank you, sir, so much for joining us this evening.
In the building, baby. In the building. I brought those sound effects.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We love it. We want to take it all the way back and then all the way up to 2024 to see what you are working on, sir. But before we do all that, how are you feeling overall?
Pretty good, man. I'm doing good. I'm happy, man. A lot of things been going on with me within the past 2 years, but I'm good though, man. I'm happy and I'm healthy.
No doubt. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Let's take it back a little bit. You born and raised in New York. Talk a little bit about being born and raised, those times, and how that led to your wanting to become a drummer earlier on.
All right. Well, let me just make this clear. I tell you, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, but I ain't gonna tell you what year.
No doubt.
But I definitely was. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, Brownsville, and actually, literally. In the Brownsville section, East New York, Van Dyke Projects. And growing up then, man, particularly back then, well, if we taking it back, I'm going to take it back as a kid. During the time that I was growing up, we talking about like the mid kind of like late 70s, man. And for us, it was beautiful because even though they was doing a lot up in the Bronx, with Bambaataa and those cats, and, when they was Grandmaster Flowers and all them. But we had some people in Brooklyn doing their things too, man. People don't talk about it a lot. Plugging their system up in the poles, jamming outside, playing music outside. Groups like Dance Masters Disco, CeeLo Dice Crew. CeeLo Dice Crew. It was this crew that had these dice, like big dice, with the turntables was in each dice. And it was 3 dice. They had a big dice with a mixer, the dice with the turntable, one turntable, another dice with the other turntable. It was set up like this, and they were called the CeeLo Dice Crew. And that's how they used to DJ. So we had those kind of people in our neighborhoods in Brownsville. We watch growing up DJing in the parks as well. So growing up as a kid, man, in Brownsville and in Van Dyke Projects, we had a basketball amphitheater, basketball court. It was really big. It was called the Hole. And that's where you can actually go down. They had steps where you can go down to play basketball, but they used to give events and jam in that park where people used to dance and party. And so growing up for me as a kid, and during the mid 70s was beautiful for me, man. So, and my 80s too. My 80s was beautiful too.
You picked up the drums at a very early age. What led to your interest in that?
Actually, me having family members involved in music. My brother, who actually was working during the time of the late 70s with groups like Sister Sledge. He also worked with a band called Crown Heights Affair. I grew up watching those guys. Brass Construction. They lived like in the next building next to me. So I would leave my building when we go outside and play, and I would see like the members, they getting in their little van, getting ready to go do a gig. And then we watch Soul Train. On Soul Train, we're like, yo, that's them dudes from down the block. So seeing those cats in BT Express, literally in my neighborhood, groups like Black Ivory, these guys lived in Tilden. Black Ivory, the group members lived in Tilden, 340 Tilden Project. So we're listening to the records and then we're looking at the picture on the album, like, yo, that's what's his name? He live in, 340. So being surrounded by those kind of cats, and my brother, I caught the bug, but I learned how to play drums by ear. I don't know how to read music. I don't know how to read drumming music. I learned, and I actually had a talk with, I actually became friends with Diamond. Diamond is, people are familiar with Diamond. He's the drummer himself from the band, the Ohio Players.
Okay.
And I just recently had a conversation with Diamond like 4 or 5 months ago. We friends now, like we call each other. I'm like, you're my favorite drummer because everybody says that Clive is a bad drummer, James Brown drummer.
James Brown, right.
Everybody done jacked Clive.
Yeah.
But Clive is not the guy who I learned from because Clive was a great swing drummer. So all those breaks that Clive was doing, those are a lot of swing beats, like boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap. He was swinging a lot with scope. You know what I'm saying? Because we found the down, or James Brown gave us the downbeat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get on it. But I had a talk with Diamond, and I said, yo, you're the guy I learned how to play drums. And he's like, get out of here. I'm like, no, seriously. When I was a kid, my brother had this album. It was, of course, everybody had the Ohio Plays album. They had them finest girls on the cover, half-naked girls.
Right.
And I played the song Fire. And that's how I learned how to play drums. I swear to God. I learned knowing what the kick was doing, listening to the record, and knowing what the snare was doing, listening to the record, and that's how I learned. Now, it took me, I'm going to be honest with y'all, it took me like about probably maybe 2 weeks before I actually really got the swing of it. But I learned how to do the boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom. Because I knew what the kick and snare on the record was doing. So when you listen to Fire, it's going fire, bop, boom, boom, yeah, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, fire. And that's how I learned.
Gotcha.
And from there, I figured everything else out on the drums. And I just taught myself. I don't even know how to read. I did an audition for somebody. They said, do you read music? I was like, I quit. I don't know how to read. I can tell me what you want. I'll give it to you.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I taught myself.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. It's so funny to hear you say how you learned because it's like when you talk to DJs, for example, sometimes you would hear them say, oh man, I used to listen to, tapes and hear flash or this and try to go and emulate what they're doing. And it sounds like you pretty much did the same exact thing except for with
right. Yeah, exactly. And also I'm a DJ as well too, because I learned
right.
I learned how to DJ. Well, back in the days, let me not front because I don't want nobody to think like, word, you was cutting. No, I was back in the days when I learned how to DJ, when I was little, I learned how to blend.
Okay.
Back then it was all blending for us. We took records like We Got Our Own Thing. We was blending it with other records that had their beats per minute. Right. As a drummer, I had to understand the beats per minute. So that's why when I mix my blending and my cutting is perfect because I'm a drummer. I make sure everything is like, I know the beats per minute, so I know how to do that. So
right.
I learned pretty fast as a kid. I really did.
Right. And just out of curiosity, so your parents bought you your first drum set, or
yeah. My father actually, he got me. I went to look. My stories is crazy. Y'all probably gonna bug out on me.
It's okay.
He's the truth. This is true. Anybody can vouch for me too. That's still alive. That's around me can tell you this. My father bought me a drum set because I was banging on books. So, but he didn't want me banging crazy in the house because we in the projects. We on the 4th floor. Right. Somebody on the 3rd floor live under us. You know.
Right.
So my father said, I don't want you banging, just going crazy. If you're gonna learn how to play it. So he sent me to drumming school.
Okay.
So I went to drumming school. The first day I went to drumming school, in drumming school, they give you like this pad. And they give you the sticks and they tell you, well, this is how you start. And back then, I don't know how they do it now, but back then, the teacher, his name was Marvin. I remember the guy because he played trumpet. His name was Marvin. He said, what you do is you take your left hand, you go mama, and you take your right hand, you go daddy. So you go mama, daddy, mama, daddy, mama, daddy, mama, daddy, mama, daddy, until you do the rolls.
Right. Okay.
He said, you do that. So I did it like, okay, that's cool. So I know I was doing that. So I got that on the pad. Let me get on the drum set. I know how to do this. He's like, nah, that's
slow down.
Yeah, right. He said, you got to learn. There's certain patterns you got to learn. So I told him, I said, I learned how to play Fire just listening to the record. He said, yeah, but that's the simple part.
Okay.
I'm like, Diamond is not a simple drummer. That's hard to do that stuff. He said, you got to learn the pattern. So I did one day of the class. He said, okay, Bobby, I'll tell your father, I'll see you next week. Come next week. I said, okay. I went home. I told my father, I said, I don't want to go back. He said, why not? I said, because they got me doing simple stuff. Mama, daddy. I don't want to do that. I want to play. I want to do I want to play. My father said, I will take this drum set back if you don't play the way I hear they playing on the records. And back then, my father used to drink. So I used to always think, I wonder if his ears is hearing right. But he heard it. He heard it. No matter how drunk he was on them J&B back then, he heard it. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, okay, so you actually teach. So I taught myself. So I went one day to drumming school and just left. I'm like, come on, that's too long. I'm not coming back to do mama, daddy. Get out of here.
Right.
I'm not doing that no more. Come on.
Right.
So I was able to keep the drum set.
Got you. Can you describe a little bit now? We're talking about that point where you're playing with the drums and you're learning how to play. We talked a little bit about, you mentioned some people around as far as hip hop goes. What exactly is going on as far as you're learning hip hop? You're listening to certain kind of music. I mean, the drums, excuse me. You're listening to those type of players, but then the hip hop's going. When do the two start to kind of cross path for you?
Well, it crossed path. Well, first of all, let's make this clear, and I'm sure a lot of the legendary cats like Grandmaster Flash and Kool Herc and all of them. We got to keep telling the truth. We hip hop merged because we came out of the disco age.
Right.
Like everybody need to stop fronting. We was learning through them disco records.
Right.
And them disco records had breaks like Sarone. They had bam, bop, these were disco records. So we were able to merge because the difference between us. Sorry, I don't want the new generation to get mad at me. But the difference between us and the new generations, we actually had to learn the entire song of the record. That's how we knew where the breaks was at. So when we listen to songs like CJ and Company, we had to go through the whole record of fee, fi, bam, fo, fum. You're listening down the barrel of the devil's gun. We had to wait before it got to the boom, 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 before the break. So we knew the record. So that merge, hip hop and DJing and me playing drum all merged through the whole funk and disco era. You know what I'm saying? Because we was able to find a portion in records in the breaks to rap to, even James Brown records. So when those guys up in the Bronx was doing that, I know you're looking at my face, right?
It's funny because you keep saying those guys in the Bronx. Like
I don't know that.
No. I know you're not dissing them. I'm just saying it's funny because I know you're from Brooklyn, and it's just you're taking me back to a time where
because they're like, yo, I saw Bobby from Stetsasonic. No,
I get it.
Those are our fathers. We was part of the Zulu Nation. So I'm just saying, because I grew up in Brownsville, I saw Woody Wood and the crew and them do the same thing they was doing in the Bronx. See, I mentioned Woody Wood and the crew. Nobody mentions Woody Wood and the crew no more. They were from Brooklyn.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I even heard of and maybe it's just my ignorance, the CeeLo Dice crew. Like
you can look.
I've never heard anybody mention that.
Yeah, you can look them up. They were called.
I have it written down because I'm definitely looking them up.
CeeLo Dice crew, Shorty Dog. He was short. His name, he went by the name of Shorty Dog, and they lived in 340 Tilden in Van Dyke Projects. And they had these dice. They were big dice. Matter of fact, I'm one day we're gonna connect, and I think I got a picture. Somebody sent me a picture of it, and I said dice. Yeah, they were called the CeeLo Dice crew. And they would come outside with their dice. I remember I was now people gonna know my age. I remember I was 7 years old, and this was Bobby, you talking too much. All right, so anyway, I remember the first DJ crew I ever saw as a child, and I got scared because I thought somebody died, and I thought they were having funerals the way they have funerals in New Orleans. Because in New Orleans, they bringing the casket outside and they bringing it through the. That's that New Orleans style. That's how they celebrate. So you're in Brooklyn, you're in Brownsville, and you see these guys come out with a casket. And I'm like, yo, somebody died. They're having a funeral. They're gonna have it outside. Like people can. No, they were called the Kicking Coffin. They had turntables in the caskets. And they had, those lights, those strobe lights that you see in supermarkets.
Yeah.
Lights, they had that. When you open the casket, that strobe, so they could see when they turned. They were called Kicking Coffin.
Kicking Coffin.
And they had turned, and these wasn't 1200s. These wasn't even S101s. These was like them big turntables the radio stations use that you had to use your thumb to really slow down if you was mixing. And they were called Kicking Coffin. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I keep saying in the Bronx. I'm not saying.
No, I got you.
I saw some things in Brooklyn in 70s.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are accurate facts. Kicking Coffin, CeeLo Dice Crew, Dance Masters Disco. These cats I watched as a kid because I couldn't go to the Bronx unless I was visiting my aunt or my mother's sister because they lived in the Bronx.
Right, right.
So we all share it. But, you know, that's how the connection, to go back to your answer.
Merging. Yeah.
Merge. We were all coming up in that disco era, listening to them break records and everybody out there talking about, I remember there was this one girl, her name was Baby Love. She was a part of the Dance Masters crew, and she used to always rhyme to the song Bra, which is by this group called Cinemate. I'm not sure if y'all familiar with that, but the break actually went boom, boop, boo-doo, boop, boop.
Yeah.
That's called Bra.
Okay.
And they used to play the whole record till it got to the break part. And then she would get on the mic and go, all right, everybody, take off your ever-living bra. Get down. Because that's how they used to rap back then. Yeah, yes, they didn't do it back then. Back then, they was talking. Right. Her name was Baby Love. And she used to tell the girls, because it was summertime, it was hot outside, take off your ever-living bra and get down. Because back then, they said, get down.
Yeah.
Back then. But it was new to us because we didn't hear nobody talk over records in the streets like that. So we all had that experience. Kool Herc and we all had that experience of watching these people create this thing that was merging out of the music from the disco era.
Right. Wow, that's crazy.
But that's a fact. That's
crazy.
CeeLo Dice Crew.
No, you're blowing my mind. No, I got both. I got the Kicking Coffins and I got CeeLo Dice Crew written down here.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I'm definitely looking it up. And I'm glad that you're kind of touching on all of this stuff because a little bit further down, there's something I want to ask you that'll tie into this. But thank you for the gems here.
Now people gonna know my age. Oh, he remember Kicking Coffins.
Hey, listen, this is cool. It needs to be talked about, man, because you hear the same stories kind of over and over again, and they have to be told. But
right. No, but most of everybody's stories that I've seen, particularly people that I do know, the stories are facts. It's just that sometimes I sit back and I go, "Wow, was I dreaming as a kid?" And I wasn't. These were people who were in my neighborhood. They weren't in my neighborhood in the 80s. They were in my neighborhood in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when I was like 7 years old, I thought they was having a funeral outside. No, the crew was called the Kicking Coffin.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And I remember the guy who he wasn't the DJ, but he used to help them. Remember the crate carrier guy?
Yeah.
He had third-degree burns on his fingers and face, and he had glasses, and he would help them carry the stuff and help them plug it up into the poles so they could play the music.
Right.
And all I remember was, Kicking Coffin is outside. They're getting ready to jam outside. I'm like, Kicking Coffin. And then when we finally got a chance to go up to where the music was at, you saw they had cushions and the turntables and the mixer in the casket.
Wow.
And when they open up the casket top, they had the lights on it so they can see when it gets nighttime.
Wow, crazy.
I'm like, this is
creativity, man.
Anybody that's from Brooklyn or from Brownsville that's watching this is probably gonna go, I was there.
Right.
It's what it is.
Dope.
Can you talk a little bit about joining your brother's group, The New Experience?
Where'd you get this information from?
Hey, man, that's what we do over here.
I'm hoping that's why you're here with us, because
hold up. You just cracked my head, man. Like you really bust me. How'd you get that information?
Hey, man, that's what we do over here.
Wait till I call my brother.
Call him now.
Hold on, my dude. Wait a minute. I am now afraid of y'all. Y'all TMZ for real. Hold on. Y'all.
Nah, if we were TMZ, we'd be over there watching Diddy right now.
Damn that. Y'all bugging. Hold on. Y'all bugging. Junior, hold on real quick, because I'm doing an interview right now, right? This is my brother on the phone right now. Junior, I'm on this show right now, and Money had the nerve to say to me, tell me about, you joining your brother's group, The New Experience.
Right.
Junior, I said, who the hell are you? Where'd you get that information?
He had to be in the Brownsville.
He's saying no. He's saying they won't tell me where they got the information, but I'm bugged out. Like, yo, how did he even get that info? All right, yo, June, let me finish this interview, man. I just have to call you to tell you. That's all. I call you back. Right?
Shout out to June.
Okay, call me back. Yeah,
okay. Okay, all right, I'll call you back. All right, so now that you done beat me in the head with that, I can tell you.
Right, I love it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm afraid of you. I don't even want to continue because down the line, you got something else. I know. I'll tell you about that. My experience, I was actually, matter of fact, there you go. We connecting everything. Tony, who later on went by the name Shorty Dog.
Okay.
CeeLo Dice Crew.
Okay.
Was a part of that, my brother's band. I was the drummer and he was a drummer too. My brother put together a band because my brother was working with Randy Muller from the group Brass Construction. But Randy said he'll help my brother produce his band or put his band, get a record deal with his band if he put a band together. So the band was me on drums, my cousin Tony, Shorty Dog on drums, my brother was on guitar, another family member was on guitar, and we had a keyboard player and a sax player named Bolly. But I joined, and we won a contest. We did a contest at it was a junior high school called 263. And they had a contest there, and we won. But I didn't play in the contest because I got grounded. Because I played hooky. So my father grounded me. But they won the contest without me. And that was the New Experience. The band was called The New Experience. And they even had a theme song. Yo, you got me bugging right now, fam.
You had a theme song?
Yeah. The theme song was We Are the New Experience. It's corny, but we had one.
Yeah.
It's corny, but we had one. But yeah, my brother put me in his band. And that was his first band that he created because Randy Muller from Brass Construction said, if you put a band together, I'll help walk you in and try to get a deal for you. Unfortunately, the band wound up disbanding later. My brother wound up putting another band together later, with older musicians. Mm-hmm. But that's how I got.
No doubt.
That's how I got down with New Experience, my brother's band. Wow.
And just so the people know, though, what kind of music was the band doing?
Well, we were doing covers. We was doing the BT Express songs like "Come On and Do It Till You're Satisfied." We was doing songs like that. We was doing songs like we were doing cover songs like
gotcha.
Bands that had popular songs back then. The Blackbirds. That's how I learned like "Doing It in the Park." And that's how I learned those songs as a kid. And that's why I needed to learn how to play drums fast. I didn't want to go to that mama daddy stuff. I need to do that. Boom, boom, bop, boom, bop, bop. I needed to learn how to do that. So I had to figure it out myself by listening to the records.
Gotcha.
So talk a little bit about transitioning from drummer to DJ. At what point, or is this going on at the same time?
Well, I was more involved in the drums than DJing. I actually got into DJing later, very early, not in the 90s, early 80s, 82.
Okay.
Maybe 82, 82. Because, 81, 82. Because prior to that, I wanted to stick with the drums because I knew that, being in bands, that was the thing back then. Mm-hmm. Parliament, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then I had guys in my neighborhood, they were bands. I was like, yo, I gotta always be in a band. I didn't begin DJing until I got hooked up with my own guys my age. Because the guys I was working with, they were older cats. What's the band name who did the Fatback Band?
Okay.
These were guys, they lived in my building. So they were the older guys. So when 1980 rolled around and Sugar Hill Gang made Rappers Light in 79 and 80, I had to start hanging around cats that was my age and we was doing. So I got down with a group called the System 3. There was a crew already called the System 2, so we called ourselves the System 3 because everybody was able to put their equipment together, to make a system. Because we didn't have a system. I had an amp. Somebody had the turntable. Somebody had the mixer. Somebody had the speaker. So, we had to pull it together. So we called ourselves the System 3. So I got into DJing later in 81. And that's when we started DJing, and we were the next generation DJing in the parks and in the neighborhood. Then at that time, so I got in later, and then what's crazy about it, I was still playing drums, and I wound up getting hired at the Latin Quarters Club. I was at Latin Quarters DJ, house DJ.
Right.
If you're familiar with the famous Latin Quarters Club.
Yeah, right.
I'll definitely get to that. We're gonna circle around with that. Go ahead, E.
Yeah. So now we're getting into the more of the hip hop. At some point, how do you come across even knowing, for example, like Daddy O, that whole scene? How does that happen? I know before, we'll talk a little bit about the group before Stetsasonic, the original, but how do you come across Daddy O or anybody that's familiar with him or even in that circle? How does that happen?
Well, we all grew up. We were all in the same neighborhood. Daddy O lived in Brownsville. He lived in East New York. They lived behind me. I was in Van Dyke Projects. They were in Unity Plaza, which was behind the bridge in East New York.
Okay.
It was a bridge that you had to go over by the L train, and we used to always go over the bridge. You hope you come back because that's where people used to get robbed at, because that's Unity Plaza. We Brownsville. If you come over to Brownsville and we know you ain't from Brownsville, your sneakers is getting taken.
Right.
And it was literally a bridge you had to go over to go into to the next projects, and it was called Unity Plaza.
Okay.
And with guys like AZ and all of them is it's from that area and stuff. But we were all raised and born in the same community in Brownsville and East New York. So that's how we knew each other. And DJ crews. Daddy was a part of a DJ crew himself. So we knew of each other because of the neighborhood and the area. I guess we could touch later on how we formed together as a group, but we knew of each other.
Okay.
Because Wise was in Canarsie, he lived in Canarsie. It's all Brooklyn. It's all a Brooklyn thing.
Gotcha.
We knew of each other.
Okay, so you guys knew of each other. When do you start saying, I want to be a little bit more involved with hip hop as far as the music goes?
Well, that came about, you credit Daddy-O and Delight for that. Okay. Because Daddy-O and Delight are actually the founding members
of
Stetsasonic. They're actually the two started Stetsasonic. There was another guy named Supreme who was a part of Stetsasonic as well. It was just those three, and they were called the Stetson brothers.
Okay.
Oh, they weren't even called Stetsasonic. They were called the Stetson brothers.
Okay.
So Daddy-O was pretty hard on rehearsing. Gotta rehearse. And Supreme wasn't like, I'm not with that. We can rap, but why we gotta rehearse? It's just rapping.
Right.
So it didn't work out with Supreme. They did a demo though.
Okay.
They did a demo that circulated around, but it didn't last that long. So what happened was Daddy-O started searching for people, recruiting people within the area. We had a guy by the name of Locke who was a dancer, and he also was a PR guy who was able to connect everybody together. He's the one that introduced Wise, Daddy-O, and Delight. Wise was the first one to actually be pulled in Stetsasonic. When Wise got pulled in, that's when the Coney Island contest happened. That was 1983. That's when they changed their name from Stetson Brothers to Stetsasonic.
Okay.
Delight actually coined that name. Delight said, Stetson means style, Sonic means sound. So Delight pinned that and that became Stetsasonic. Mr. Magic, at the time, Fly Tie was our first manager.
Right.
So big shout out to everybody in the Juice Crew, but sorry, y'all, we was the first Juice.
Right.
Because before Shannon and all them, it was us. Correct. Fly Tie had us. But Fly Tie took us to Mr. Magic. And I was around those guys then. I just wasn't instead. I was like, you hung out with anybody that was doing anything hip hop.
Right. Okay.
And so you could plug yourself in. But just to kind of make a long story short, Daddy-O, he began to recruit more people. I think the next person who was recruited was Fruquan.
Right.
Fruquan was recruited next. Fruquan was introduced again through the dancer Locke, through Fruquan's brother. And that's how Fuquan, when they recruited Fuquan locked in perfect because Fuquan's style was different. We loved him. We loved his style. Fruit was just different. The next one who was recruited was DBC. DBC wasn't from Brooklyn. DBC lived upstate.
Okay.
But DBC had equipment. DBC had the keyboard. He had the small 4-track. So Daddy was like, yo, we can make demos now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you want to be in this band? Yo, you could be the beat maker. You can create the. So
Gotcha.
DB was recruited. The next one who was recruited was Prince Paul. Prince Paul is not from Brooklyn neither.
Nah,
Prince Paul is from Long Island.
Yeah, Amityville, right? Yeah.
Amityville.
Yeah.
We saw Prince Paul DJ at an event. And he was nice. He was doing his thing. So, yo, this story is funny. I know they're not gonna be mad that I tell this story. But back then, Daddy-O used to have braids, the cornrow braids. Remember the one that D'Angelo used to wear, the corn? Yeah. Your hair come down here. And Delight and Daddy-O, they used to wear spikes. You know, the spikes bracelets with
the blacks. Yep.
Yeah, they used to wear that. And matter of fact, I got a picture of it. I'm gonna show y'all that. And that's when they used to wear the shirts that they used to get to make your name on the front of it with the lettering, the Stet 3 MCs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so they saw Prince Paul DJ, and Prince Paul thought they were troublemakers.
Okay.
Because Daddy-O literally looked at Prince Paul and pointed at him and said, "You, come here." Paul was like, "Yo, I don't know these dudes." Like, yo. So, wound up walking over to him saying, "Nah, we heard about you. We heard you nice. And we looking for a DJ. We want to know if you want to be down. We making demos." So Paul was like, "Oh, yo, I thought y'all was coming to rob me or something like that." So he said, "Nah, I'm interested." So Paul got recruited.
Okay.
I was the last one that decided to join because Daddy kept telling me, yo, we don't need to use the break beats. You can be the break beat, and I was like, yeah, I was with that. But at the time, I was on tour, one tour with Natalie Cole.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but she fired me. And then I was then I toured with Shannon. I was Shannon's musical director, and I toured with Shannon. Shannon, she had the record, Let the Music Play, the hit record, Let the Music Play.
Uh-huh.
So I toured with Shannon. And so we toured like Japan and, so while Stetsasonic was, putting together his demo, I was on tour. Yeah. Then my man Lilo Thomas called me and said, "Listen, I need you to play drums on my record." So I'm not sure if y'all familiar with Lilo Thomas, but he's an R&B singer, 80s. That was with Melba Moore, Freddie Jackson and stuff like that, and Kashif and all them. So I said, bet. So I was getting hired as a musician, as a drummer. That my brother also introduced me to was Lilo Thomas. My brother wrote a song on his album.
Okay.
So Daddy-O was like, "Yo, B, man, what's up? You gonna get down with us or what, man? Because, we getting ready to drop, we plan to drop an album, man. We need you to, I was like, well, bet. So we met at the Latin Quarters. That's how we come to the Latin Quarters.
Okay.
And I said, well, look, why don't we try this thing out? Why don't we do a show at the Latin Quarters with the drums, with DB, and let's see how this thing works. And we did it for the first time at the Latin Quarters, where the guys was on the top, because if you was in the Latin Quarters, there was a stage on top, and then there was a stage on the bottom. Me and DB set our equipment up on the bottom stage, while Paul and the guys set up on the top stage, and we killed the Latin Quarters.
Now, for those who may not know, can you talk about how you became a DJ at one of the most influential hip hop clubs in history?
Paradise Gray. My man Paradise. Shout out to Paradise. I know you watching this or you listening to this, Paradise. Because I said Paradise, me and Paradise is cool. I said, yo, Paradise, you need to see that New Edition movie. He said, yo, Bobby, I'm blind. I'm like, yo, Paradise, my dude. Peace to Paradise. I love that brother. It was Paradise why I got the DJ at the Latin Quarters. It was this DJ by the name of DJ Raul. Dope dude. He was a dope DJ, Spanish cat. But he was more of I guess they called it freestyle music back then. The TKAs, the Lisa.
Yeah. Yep.
So but he was into that. Raul was he was a dope blender. He was dope. But for some strange reason, Raul disappeared. Nobody knew where the hell he went. It was like he wasn't showing up. And the Latin Quarters always needed a house DJ to play until the star DJ came. The star DJ was DJ Red Alert.
Right.
Because Red Alert would play Kiss FM from 9 p.m. to midnight. And after he finished at Kiss FM, he would come to the Latin Quarters and he would start DJing at 1 o'clock until like maybe 3. So Raul never showed up. So Paradise he was DJing one night because Paradise DJ too. But Paradise couldn't DJ because he was the guy who ran the club. He had to bring the acts and he had to do all that. So Paradise said, yo, man, I got to get a DJ. I said, yo, Paradise, I DJ. He's not, B, ain't you and Stetsasonic, ain't Paul the DJ? I said, no, Dice, I DJ. He said, I get up there and DJ. And I knew what records to play because I'm a DJ. I knew to play Rap's New Generation. I knew to play Just Ice. I knew to play Biz Markie, Nobody Beats the Biz. I knew to play all the joints that got people on the floor.
Right.
So I had no problem. I knew what records to drop. It's like I know to drop. I knew to drop all of that. I knew to drop. Soon as people heard that, get on the burn that. The Latin Quarters, they was Roger Rabbit and everything. So I knew what to play. And I knew how to keep the crowd dancing until Red came. And Red used to always say to me, he said, yo, man. He said, yo, I always thought you was just a drummer. I said, no, I DJ too, Red. That's how I know how to rock drums. Because everybody just thought I was just Stetsasonic. No one knew how to DJ. And I never forget that night. That was the first night I DJ. And I stayed there DJ until till the club closed.
Wow.
And that was the night we did the Stetsasonic. No, that was the night Heavy D was the first act that Paradise booked. That was when Heavy D had Mr. Big Stuff and all that. And I remember the lines was around the corner and stuff like. It was around the corner right by Sabaros. That's what Sabaros used to be there. People used to be on the lines waiting to get in because Heavy D was. It was like, yo, Mr. So there was that night, and then the next week, we did the band thing in the Latin Quarters and stuff. And so Latin Quarters was picking up. So I got hired to DJ at the Latin Quarters, all because Paradise was like, so you really could DJ? I said, yeah. And when he saw that I could really DJ, he's like, nah. He spoke to Mike Goldberg, who was the owner of the club. He said, Bobby's going to be the DJ, so we got to pay him.
Can you clear up a couple things for us? Because we had several guests on the show that say that KRS and Melly Mel never battled. That never happened.
Well, no. Yeah, that is the truth. But I'm going to tell it to you like this because I was there that night. I'm going to tell it to you like this. I guess maybe people crossing it wrong. When you battle somebody, right? You challenge them. You do your rhyme. Whatever. You do your rhyme. The next person do their rhyme. This is a battle. What you got next? Mel ain't have nothing next. So there was no battle. Everybody was waiting for it. But you challenged KRS One because that's all Mel did. All Mel did was talk shit. Shout out to Mel because that's our family. That's our family. But Mel was. We told the story several times. Mel talked shit that whole night. He dissed Biz Markie. He was dissing everybody that was in that room that was supposed to be to come up next. He was dissing everybody. Like, yo, I'm the king. He had this belt he would run around with, like this belt. I'm the champion, and nobody, I'm the best rapper. He challenged Chris. And Chris set that place on fire. He set that place on fire like that. Boom, boom, bam, and the audience was like, that's our like, yo, what's up? And he wasn't even rhyming to the bridges over. He was just doing some. Mel ain't challenge him. Right. So you're right, people. I guess the battle didn't happen because Mel probably realized what he walked into.
Right.
We had Mikey D on the show last week, but you witnessed Melly and Mikey go at it. Was that the New Music Seminar?
Was that the New Music? I think that was the new Music Seminar. I actually didn't see that battle. I do remember talking about it when the seminar was happening. I didn't see that battle. I think during that music seminar, what else was happening? I think there was another battle that was going on with one of our guys who was rapping in one of the battles they had, and he lost to a girl. But I didn't witness the Mikey one. But Mikey D's my peoples too. But Mikey we know the story too as well. We know. But we love Mel, man. I keep telling people, man, we love Mel. No matter how much we talk about Mel.
Right.
But I always tell people, because we Stetsasonic were influenced by the Furious Five. The only reason why Stet was able to learn how to rhyme in patterns like that because we watched the Furious Five. So my point I want to make real quick is no matter how much crap we talk about Mel, and everybody talking about the Eminem stuff, yeah, we know Eminem, again, he didn't realize where he
right.
and with KRS-One. You talk it, and then when you see the feedback, it's like, whoa, maybe I shouldn't have stepped to that. But it didn't matter what he stepped to do, he still talked his junk.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm still the best. And we loved him for that because we knew what his whole style was about. But I always tell people, no matter what we say about Mel, you cannot ignore his contribution to the music industry and to hip hop. Right. And I got into debate with some people about, him and Eminem can sit at the same table. Yeah, they could. Because I'm going to make it clear to you. Melly Mel have Grammys. Mm-hmm. What Grammys Mel got? Shaka Khan won for best R&B record at the Grammys for I Feel For You. Who's the guy doing it, Shaka Khan? Who's that?
Right. It's Mel.
All right. So that's his Grammy. They get a Grammy for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Quincy Jones Back on the Block album. Mm-hmm. Best R&B jazz album. Won a Grammy for the album. Everybody that's a part of the album get a Grammy. Ice-T got a Grammy.
Mm-hmm.
Got a Grammy. Mel's on the record. He got a Grammy. Mm-hmm. 2 Grammys. Mel is in the Grammy Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
That's 3 Grammys. So Mel got 3 Grammys. Now, somebody said, what record Mel got went platinum? The Message sold 1 million copies. It's a platinum record. White Lines sold 1 million copies. That's a platinum record. I Feel For You is a double platinum record. That's a double platinum record. I'm trying to get people to understand. Stop making it seem like this man has not contributed or has gotten any accolades or any awards for his contribution. So yes, he can sit at that. Is Melly Mel in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah, the grandma. Yeah.
So Emma's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too, right?
Right. They can sit at the same. They can break the same bread.
Thank you. Give my man a round of applause. That's all I was saying to people. People were trying to get at me. I'm like, nah, you social media people can't get at me. I'm a seasoned dude. You can't tell me about someone's contribution to this music industry. He's done a lot in his, and he needs to be respected for it. I don't care if you diss him, that rap he did on M was whack, because it was.
Right.
We will admit that. But I'm not going to call him whack because he contributed a lot. Mm-hmm. Not only to the Music Academy, but to hip hop. So stop the corniness just because you M fans. I'm an M fan too. I brought M on my show first. Nobody cared about him when he was making the mixtapes. When he was, I brought him on my show and it's documented. I was like, yeah, bring him on. Yeah, I heard he's dope in the cypher. Bring him on. Nobody in hip hop really cared about him because everybody was on some Wu-Tang. Everybody was on some Tupac and Dre. Nobody cared about M until he got with Dre.
Right.
True.
When he got with Dre and Dre met them, oh, he nice. No, he was pretty nice before that. Just that nobody wasn't buying his albums. But the connection worked. The connection of Dre and Jimmy. It worked. There's your magic. Doesn't mean he's not talented. Doesn't mean he's not great, because of course he is. But you're not going to disrespect Melly Mel for what he contributed.
Right. Agreed. 100% agreed, man. Oh, man, you have, there's so much to talk about with you. I wanted to ask you about the Latin Quarters, but okay, briefly.
Okay.
Can you just, for those who never had the experience of going to Latin Quarters, just what was that atmosphere like in Latin Quarters, and why is it so important that it's always mentioned when it comes to hip hop? Because
even though we had the Roxy's, where they did some hip hop, and even though we had the Fever, Sal, who brought a lot of the rap artists like Run DMC and Curtis Blow, they were doing certain things at the Fever. But though young kids was going to those clubs, it was more of the here comes 1986, and that generation was bombarding the Latin Quarters. And the reason why the Latin Quarters was being bombarded, because they didn't serve alcohol. They didn't serve alcohol. They had a machine there where you could just pour people, ginger ale sodas. Only the Haitian crowd, because they would have a Haitian party with the Haitian music or the Jamaican music they was having. That would be the after work segment from 5 to 10 o'clock. Then 10 o'clock to 5 in the morning was hip hop.
Okay.
We let out the Haitian people, and the hip hop kids be online waiting to get in.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful atmosphere, and that was the mid '80s generation. Like, I'm going to Latin Quarters. They wasn't going to the Fever. They wasn't going to the Roxy's because we tore that up.
Mm-hmm.
So now there was a new spot happening. That was happening, and Union Square was starting to build.
Right.
Latin Quarters had us. We had them gated down, and then they decided, look, let's hire a DJ to bring the people in, and they got the right one. They got Red Alert. So it was a beautiful atmosphere. I'm not gonna say fights didn't break out. Fights broke out in Latin Quarters, but it wasn't that where people got killed. It was just that the security guards just they hem them up and throw them out.
Yeah.
It was a great atmosphere, and you got to hang out with a lot of up and coming celebrities. You got to hang out with Salt and Pepper, Biz Markie, Flash, Fat Boys. We were all up in there.
But that was a make it or break it type of situation. I mean, if an artist went up there to perform,
yes,
and he got booed,
yes,
I mean, they were pretty much done for the most part.
Right, and you test a lot of your acts out there. I never forget that Russell tested Public Enemy there. He was like, because when Public Enemy first came out, he tested them there, and just he gave them like a listening. I think it was kind of like a listening party, introducing in the group, and Melly Mel was there that night. And there was Melly Mel talking shit about Public Enemy. He called them corny GI. He said them corny GI Joe, man, because SMW.
Yeah.
Like, yo, Mel, come on. But Mel was that dude. He was like, who's gonna, Yeah. So again,
okay,
that was the place where you wanted to test acts in hip hop. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The Latin Quarters was that monumental spot where Friday and Saturday night, Paradise would book an act that was hot. And get that place pumping and jumping, and he did. It was really a beautiful every Friday and Saturday night. It was beautiful, man. It really was.
Right.
So yeah, that's how we got to hang out with Dana and all those. We was all up in there. Sweet Tea, we was all up in there.
Nice, and not to mention all the dances that would come through, the IU dances and all of that.
Hammer was there several nights too. Hammer was up in the Latin Quarter several nights. Yeah, he was up. So Schoolie D, they would come from Philly. They was up in there too.
Yeah.
They will all come down. That's what I'm saying. This was like the mid 80s people coming through now,
Right.
But from 80 to maybe 85 or 84, people was going to the Fever and Roxy's because, it was, but when the Latin Quarters was like, nah, they was coming through. So yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful time.
Nice. Let's get back to Stetsasonic now. At what point do we start saying, man, we got to create this first album that we have to put out? What was that type of discussion? How was it? What was the process? Tell us a little bit about leading up to the first album for Stetsa.
Tommy Boy, Tom Silverman, we thought Tom got the idea that Stetsasonic was going to be a hip-hop band. Tom just wanted to make records and sell records, vinyls, as much as he could. But Tom liked what he saw in Coney Island, the contest that they won in Coney Island. Tom was like, but the deal wasn't with Tommy Boy first. The deal was with Sugar Hill Records.
Okay.
But we turned that deal down and went with the Tommy Boy deal. So Tom wanted to make the kind of records that he heard and seen in the performance. Mm-hmm. And the first record was Just Say Stet. That was the first record that was recorded before Tom decided to do an album. He wanted to see if he can sell this record before he'd think about putting money into doing an album. And Just Say Stet got some noise. Houdini was one of the Brooklyn cats that we looked up to because they were from Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. Here come this other Brooklyn crew coming out talking about, if you can't say it all, just say Stet. Never will. It's like, yo, who's these guys? Like, but some people knew who we were, but people who didn't, it was like, yo, I like this joint. It was hip hop. It sounded hip hop. So that led up to Tom Silverman saying, okay, I think we can get an album out of this. What kind of album could you guys make? And I remember Daddy-O sat down with DBC and Paul and said, yo, we can let's just kind of go through a lot of the tapes of stuff that they were rhyming over when they were making cassettes. It came to that point when one of the tracks Prince Paul was working on, and Delight had an idea. Delight said, yo, this track could be dope if we add the live drums to it.
Okay.
Which was Go Stetsa. And Go Stetsa was a record that got everybody in trouble.
Was it a conscious thought for Brooklyn cats to make songs that were like Brooklyn terrorizing theme songs? Like everybody get together, like come at the
MOB's Andy up in
Master DC and you guys. Like, did you guys ever have a meeting and say, like, we have to make music that when it's played, Brooklyn's in the house and it's just pandemonium? Because I think out of all boroughs, some others have maybe a few here and there, but Brooklyn?
Yeah, well, we always get, first of all, our stage performance give that same energy. So our stage performance is really turned up. That's why whenever we did shows with people say, y'all cheating because y'all are a band. Nah. We're a hip hop band. It's a big difference because we don't have a guitar player or a bass player. You know, we just have a DJ, a drummer, and our keyboard player just play synth sounds. Right. And he DJs. So we're not Earth, Wind, and Fire. We're kind of the stripped down Earth, Wind, and Fire. And we making hip hop with what we have. I never forget MC Hammer said that when Too Big MC Hammer came on tour with us, and it was 87. I think it was 87 or 88, and we were setting up. I remember Too Big MC. This is the first time they did a show with us. I remember that was Hammer's hype man. I remember he made fun. He was talking to somebody else saying, yo, well, why are they setting up drums there? I thought this was a hip hop show. Who are they? The Silver Screen Submarine Band? You know, that's the Little Rascals, you know. And Hammond said, yo, you can laugh if you want to. He said, but that's the next thing we're getting ready to do. Yeah. And did you see Hammond do that the next year?
Right. Yeah, probably one of the biggest bands on stage.
Exactly. So it's like we knew we were moving in the right direction, but we kept reminding people we were a stripped down band. If you listen to the On Fire album, that album is strictly just drums, DJ, and scratch sounds.
Yo, you talk to me about that, making that song, though. That is one of my favorite songs. I don't understand how you guys spazzed out on it. How did the whole drum at the end of the song, you guys let the drums go crazy?
Well, that was in a mix with Daddy-O and Delight, because again, it was Delight's idea to have the live drums on it, because Delight is a big jazz fan. So Delight was like, yo, instead, because back then everybody was using the Roland Lynn drum machine, because Rick Rubin was using that for the Beastie Boys and LL, but Delight was like, yo, it needs to be bigger than that, and the live drums always give it. So Delight was right. So Delight and Daddy-O, when it came to mixing it, Daddy-O was always the guy who was like, yo, because we were into 12-inch records. Because if you remember the 12-inch records, there was always dubs on those disco records. And we said, if we're going to make records, let's make records like them. Because if Tom's going to make 12-inch versions, let's do a dub version where it's nothing but the drums at the end. And, so we came out of that era, that mode. So we thought like that, but we had to incorporate it with this generation of hip hop. And that's what we did. So we already had our thinking caps on, even when we was growing up, coming out of the disco era, because we said if we make something like that, it's got to have this in it. And then we learned that we can scratch. We got to have that in it. We ain't got a guitar player, so Paul scratch guitar. So Paul would go, he would scratch a guitar sound. So we would say that's our guitar player. No, that's not. That's your DJ. What is he scratching? Right. And now the turntable is an instrument now.
Right.
What do you remember most about the reception of On Fire when it dropped?
Every time you went to the land quarters, tuck in your chain.
Well received.
Tuck the chain in, because cats, they was dancing on the floor. If your chain was, because they made it look like they was dancing, because you didn't feel your chain was off. You realized it was off. Brooklyn was up in there. Brooklyn was KRS One, no. Shout out to the Bronx, but if Brooklyn was someplace, that's why he said Brooklyn's always taking it. Yep.
There was a 2-year gap in between that album and the sophomore album. What was the creative process going into in Full Gear?
We separated from Oh, I'm sorry. No, we didn't separate. We wound up. Yeah, we did. We separated from Fly Tie as a manager, and Russell wanted to have everybody under his roof. So that's why, if you remember, going into 87, 88, Russell had every rap act that existed.
Mm-hmm.
Big Daddy Kane, EPMD, Slick Rick. Well, he didn't have Dougie Fresh. He didn't have Salt and Pepper and Heavy D neither, but he had De La Soul, Jazz Jeff Fresh Prince, Public Enemy, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Eric B. Rakim. He had all the hip hop acts. He didn't have Kid and Play though. That was Herbie and them. But he had proportionally all the hip hop acts. So we thought, okay, that would be the best person to go to. And while we were preparing for the Info Gear album, we was like, yo, but we need to do some shows, Russ. So Russ put us on that Def Jam tour. Not all of it, only some of them. Certain spots we played. And while we were doing that, that's when we were preparing the Info Gear album. The first song that was preparing on the Info Gear album was a song called You Thought It Was Your Thing. That didn't get on the album. Then it was Info Gear. Then it was Showtime. Sally was the last song, because Sally was supposed to be on the On Fire album, but it didn't make the On Fire album because Tom was like, no, we can save that for another. So Sally was supposed to be on the first album.
Okay.
Thank God, it was saved for the Info Gear album, but it was the last song we worked on the Info Gear album. So
what was those studio sessions like for that album?
Oh, them studio sessions was beautiful because of the fact that, real quick, let me tell y'all briefly, those cats, those engineers, they were college kids. These were college white boys. And they were mixing Bruce Springsteen's album. They were mixing Billy Joe records. This is Green Street Studios and Calliope Studios.
Okay.
So these boys, like, they were college kids, and they was like, yo, we just doing sessions because we want to be engineers. And they was talking to us, I guess they figured we were young teenage kids. You guys don't know nothing about Billy Joe and Bruce Springsteen. Of course we do. Well, we did because we're musicians. And it's like, yeah, last night we mixed Billy Joe, one of Billy Joe's records, but they weren't excited about it. They was excited about doing our records because they said Billy Joe never liked his drums up big. They mixed their records. They like the vocals up big, but the drums down low. Those engineers couldn't wait to mix big, and it was nothing but break beats anyway. They spent like an hour just on the drums, boom, bap, bap, boom, just mixing the drums. They loved that. They loved working with us. They loved working with the Jungle Brothers. They loved working with De La, Prince Paul, and us. They loved working with Tribe Called Quest because they loved the way that they wanted to mix big records. Bruce Springsteen didn't want big records.
Right.
It was all about the guitar and his vocals up top.
Right.
Man, listen to Tribe Records, man. The drums is there. They loved it.
That makes sense.
Working them sessions at Green Street and Calliope Studios and Chung King's, the infamous Chung King Studios, was beautiful. We mixed Sally at Chung King Studio, and Russell was there. And Russell was like, Daddy, yo, that's a fucking hit. I'm telling you, that's a fucking hit. So it was Russell who said Sally was going to be a big record. And he was right.
There's a new platform brewing at the time called UMTV Raps around 88. Talking all that jazz is in heavy rotation as far as I'm concerned here in Indiana around that time. How did life change for you personally, being on the platform, everybody seeing your face?
All right, it was dope. We played, not to cut you off, we played Indiana too. We played Indiana, us, Public Enemy, EPMD, Big Daddy Kane. Who else was on that bill? We played Indiana. Was it Maryville, Indiana? We played someplace in Indiana. Yeah. I remember we played Indiana. But anyway, you asked me about what was it like having
the platform. This is the largest platform as far as hip hop music goes worldwide now. How was life changing for you personally?
Well, that was beautiful, but we was happy because it was giving us more of a mainstream audience to reach out to. But we was happy with our Ralph McDaniels and because Ralph stayed on us. We was happy with Ralph because we knew every Monday through Friday, 3:00, Video Music Box was on, and 9 times out of 10, our videos being played twice or 3 times the whole week. So we said, but we were happy about UMTV Rap because it was another platform that was reaching other markets that wasn't seeing the videos the way that we thought they should have seen it, the way we were seeing it of a video music box standard.
Right.
Me and E often discuss that because he's in New York and he's seeing video music box at that time. I'm in Indiana and I don't think we got video music box. So MTV was that open, that, you know, the floodgates.
Right, exactly. No,
It's funny that that you're saying that because I'm not gonna lie, I was really ignorant to the fact that I'm in New York. Ralph McDaniel, video music, but to me, it's the biggest thing in the world to me. Right. I never even crossed my mind that there was other people in other places not here at the time. Right. And sometimes me and him will talk, and I'm just like, it took me a little minute for it to click.
Right.
I didn't see that, but it's crazy, man.
Oh, what's crazy though, Ralph used to introduce a lot of rappers' videos that weren't from New York City, and we got to see them too as well. Because remember, he was playing MC Hammer video before Hammer blew up. He was playing that turn this bother. He was playing it. He was playing that before MTV. MTV wasn't playing that.
Oh, right.
He was playing it. So, you know, Ralph kind of saw what was happening. But we appreciate him more. Not that we don't appreciate Fat Five Freddy when they do UMTV Rap, because Fat Five Freddy directed our video talking all that jazz. He directed that. Wow. So we knew that hip hop was being in good hands when he was the host. Oh, it was in good hands with Dre and Ed too as well, because those are people. But having Fab host UMTV Rap and then he directed our video, we getting played.
Yeah, that was a good look.
Yeah.
Right.